Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so we have a very special episode today. For those of you that have been watching the show for a long time, you're probably saying, hey, what's going on? Normally there's like one guest on the show that's being interviewed, and where'd all these people come from, right? Well, today's a very special episode. We are celebrating the release of the Volume 6 of our Business Leaders Edition, and today we brought on some of the authors from that book, really as a teaser, as part of the promo, and really just to get you excited about this release. Just so you know, I'll be doing individual interviews with each author, where we'll be going through and learning more about their writing and really doing a deep dive into what they do, their mission and their business. But for today, this is a celebration. This is all about congratulations. And to all the authors on the line, hey, first off, I just want to say congrats on being selected for the book and congrats on the new book. We're live. Come on.
All right.
All right. So just to get us kicked off here, I will start off by maybe let's do introductions for everybody that hasn't maybe watched some of the previous interviews or didn't catch those with some of the authors that are on here that have been on the show before. For example, let's start with you, Derek. We'll just maybe go around the room, but let's start with you, Derek. If I could have you introduce yourself and your business, please.
Hey, absolutely. And thanks for having me here. I'm always super excited to talk with you, man, but it's great to be here. My name is Derek Gerber for the audience and the SVP at Explainify. And after about 10 years, our 10-year anniversary this year, we've created thousands of videos that you've seen on national advertising campaigns, on websites, app stores, but we're a premium explainer video creation company. So our agency works with the brands you know and love today to bring their stories to life. And it's really exciting. And again, we couldn't be more honored to be here today.
Oh, man. And Derek, great to have you back on the show, and always a pleasure working with you. Jeremy, please, you're next in line.
All right. Yeah. My name is Jeremy Hunt. I'm the founder and CEO of Minnesota Delivery Solutions. And also just want to congratulate the rest of the authors. I also checked out the video yesterday. It was fun to hear everybody talk, and everyone's excited about what we've been able to put together. So I wanted to put a little plug in there. And Minnesota Delivery Solutions is a specialized courier and delivery service in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. We also service the entire state of Minnesota, and we provide dedicated driver and courier solutions, kind of a specialized service, and excited about what we do and how we take care of people, and also, of course, what we're going to talk about today. So thank you very much for having me.
It's awesome. Larry, you're up next.
Well, thanks, Adam. This is an exciting day, to say the least. So Larry Fallon, Chief Supply Chain Officer at EY, or Ernst & Young. And simply put, Adam, we keep things moving internally at EY. Obviously, everybody knows of our assurance and tax and consulting and transaction businesses, but behind the scenes, we have to keep things moving. So that's where I fit in to EY.
Fantastic, and great to have you back on as well. Jason.
Yes, Jason Shupp. I am the president of Ferguson Roofing. We are a contracting company that focuses primarily on commercial and residential roofing and other parts of the exterior facade. We are a third-generation business, been in the St. Louis community for over 80 years, and very honored and proud to have been embraced by the community for that long, and also honored and proud to be a part of this wonderful group and this book project. So thanks again for everything that you're doing, Adam.
Awesome to have you. And maybe with this part of the intro, maybe a little round of applause for our fearless leader, Jeff, the director of publishing, for all the work he put together on this. Jeff, can't do it without you, man. Please.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks to all of the authors for all of your hard work. This book really turned out amazing. We couldn't be happier, and especially, I think, very, very excited for the launch event. This has turned out to be a lot of fun. We're glad you could participate. I love my job. I love working with the authors. I have the special ability to have been an author in this book as well. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to work with Adam and Norskog. It's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it's great, and glad to have you here, and much needed, because with your addition and all your hard work, I mean, our community's grown. I feel like you're always pushing the envelope for the authors, a great author advocate, and it's just been a great experience. And so diving into this project, especially for maybe the new viewers that aren't too familiar with our book series. So what we do is we bring together top authors and top business leaders, and we have them tell their story. We have them tell their mission. We have them say, you know, what excites them about what they do, like what gets them motivated and fired up to go out there into the marketplace and really to make a difference. And the idea and the scope of this is that, you know, we all have something that we can learn from each other. We all have something to give back to the world. And our book and our book series is just one of those ways that people are able to give back and share their experience for the benefit of others. So just to get us kicked off here, I'd like to let's go around the room, or the virtual room here, and maybe let's answer this question. So what was some of the reason or the inspiration behind your writing and what you wrote? And Derek, not picking on you, but let's start with you again.
Hey, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So this is Derek at Explainify again. I got to say, in the last couple years of uncertainty, a lot of businesses struggling to still create revenue, and we weren't quite sure what to expect in the new normal 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. I've lost track, right? And given all the world events, yeah, I mean, still got to make business happen. And we want to be genuine about it. And we want to create insightful content that people can retain and take action on. And so when it comes down to it, if you want to generate more leads, if you want to build brand awareness or the best education programs, you need to create more videos, but not just any videos that are good and really bring the story to life, inspire some action. So again, for us to even be here, I mean, we've grown 400% over the last couple of years, and it's because these brands, these teams, they really trusted in us, and we couldn't be more grateful for that, to make these results happen for them. And that's why we've been able to establish really long-term clients that we just love and adore today. It's really an amazing experience that we get to do these things for our clients and bring their stories to life.
And one follow-up to that, Derek. So, I mean, I've seen the videos, some of the videos that you've done. I've obviously seen the portfolio from the website and other things. And so and I know this is a huge question, but I want to keep it kind of succinct to this because I want the other authors to go too, but I want to give people a flavor for your type of work and to kind of understand a bit of it. So, like, what do you think are some of the good things that are the good qualities that should be in a video? And I know that's a big question, but like, give us some of the basics.
I'll do it the Explainify way and keep it under a minute. I got to tell you right now, some people think they got to create 3-minute videos, 20-minute videos, and sometimes there's a place for long form content. There still is. But when you're quickly trying to communicate a message to somebody, anybody, what you're trying to do, we see 6,000 advertisements a day. So you got 7 seconds to really capture my attention. You got another 7 seconds to maybe retain me, tell me why I should really care. And then the last 30 seconds of this, if you got a 60-second block, you really only got 45 seconds, right, to get this done, because the last part is an outro. So you got 30 more seconds to really deliver what I'm supposed to retain and remember. And so when you're interacting with video content, you're 600% more likely to take action and retain that information than if you were to just read a whole brick wall of text, or if you were to, divulge in some of maybe traditional ways of creating content that people skim over. So the videos engage people, kind of burn that into your brain a little bit, but it also goes an extra length and step to show you that investing in higher quality content really brings your brand to life. And that's representative across all our videos. So for us, you got to get in, you got to get it quick, you got to do it in a minute, and you're going to come here to come do it. We're going to do it the Explainify way.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that follow-up interview that we're going to do here, because we're going to get into the weeds on this one, what people need to know about video. So great stuff there. Jeremy, please let's have you tackle the question next. So what was behind your writing? Like, what inspired it?
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, one of the things that really was going through my mind before I agreed and decided to write it all was I've always liked to look at our lives and what we do as a story. And I feel like everybody has a story to tell. And I felt like, especially when I was contacted by Melinda, that it was something that was stirring inside of me. I've heard a quote, I won't remember it exactly how it's supposed to go, but you know you need to write something down when the pain of not writing it down becomes greater.
Ooh.
And I was at that point where I knew I needed to write, and even the getting it out was a form of, dare I say, therapy. I knew I had learned, and my life had been transformed by all the things that I had learned and applied to my life, and I had to get it out on paper. And I'll be honest with you, I know we work on computers these days, but if there was those images you see of the guy sitting at a typewriter with mounds of crumpled up paper that keep getting thrown in the trash can, that was me. But it really was because every word mattered, and every word represented something that had made a difference in my life, and it helped create transformation, and I just couldn't help it. And when I was contacted, I knew I needed to do it. So
that's awesome. And story, I mean, it's been powerful in my life. I feel like it's powerful and an essential theme in many people's lives, whether it's through, you know, a book, whether it's through movies, a lot of different people digest and take in information in different ways. But when you say, like, the person in front of the typewriter with the crumbled piece of paper, like, I have the visualization
Right.
first of all, but I get it, like, because that's me as well. What would you say to those people that are out there that maybe have something inside? They have that story and they just haven't quite gotten it out yet. What kind of words of wisdom would you give them?
I would just say you got to start, and you got to believe in yourself, and every story is worth telling. I literally feel like if I can do it, you can do it. And I would just say start. I know I said it when just moments ago that we all have a valuable story worth telling, and everyone really does. And we're all learning, we're all growing, and I would really encourage people to do that. And it's part of the creative process anyway. Like, a lot of times we feel like we have to reach a certain amount of success until we do, especially the creative things that are inside of us. And if it can be related to someone that's a musician, get out to that coffee shop and just play that guitar, because it needs to happen. And to me, that's what writing was. There was something stirring in me that felt like I was supposed to write. And I remember this past summer, I was flying into Phoenix, and I was reading a book that was transformative in my life. And it just came out of nowhere. I said, we're landing. I put the book in the seat back pocket in front of me, and I said, I guess I'm going to be a writer. And literally within a couple of weeks, I was contacted by Mission Matters. At first, I thought it was a little bit like, no, not me. This can't be right. But I was kind of following the omens, following the breadcrumbs, following my calling, and it has to start somewhere. So that's maybe a long way of saying, just get out there and do it.
Oh, I love it. No, and I mean, whether it's writing, whether it's a lot of things, we hesitate in our life. I'll give you a funny one. So when I was younger, I remember being so scared to write and get things out there that I'd find new ways to procrastinate. I think once I even went to the store and I bought like a calligraphy set and like papyrus, like something ridiculous. And I'm like, probably my writing is going to be better if I know how to do calligraphy. I'm like, come on, Adam, can you find any other ways to procrastinate? So I'll take your words of wisdom there. Just do it, right?
That's good.
So Larry, you're next. What inspires you, or what inspired your writing, please?
Well, I wish I had the inspiration like Derek and Jeremy talked about. Mine might be a little bit more basic, but hopefully it's exciting to folks. I'm wrapping up 23 years at EY in June. And during that 23-year period, roughly half of it has been in this role of procurement and then supply chain. And over the years have run into hundreds and hundreds of peers. And procurement is seen as very dry. And how strategically important is it to a business? Obviously, finance, obviously legal, obviously risk, obviously marketing and branding. And procurement is known for saving money, cutting cost. So the question is that thing taken seriously enough where it gets a presence at the board level? Not a seat at the board, but a presence at the board level. And over the years have just, gotten more passionate about trying to elevate the brand of what we do at EY to the board level of EY, but also working with peers and discussing with peers the same thing that they're struggling with. So, over the last 3 years, 4 years, Adam, it's really been focused on what are the steps one has to take to break through to get that seat at the board level. because once again, branding and marketing and finance and human resources are more established organizations and have this broader strategic presence. So that was really the inspiration behind it, Adam.
Yeah, Larry, and I remember your interview that we did very clearly, and one of the things that stuck out to me about it is that I guess kind of contrary to what you just mentioned is that there's a lot of people with messages or that put in. I mean, you put in over 20 years working in procurement and this vital part of an organization. And when I think about like the evolution of business and going back to some of the things we did talk about in our previous interview, like HR once didn't have really that much of a role in the boardroom. It was just this thing, right? Like where you had to hire people, right? And it had this different stigma. And it was only until, many years later that HR got that seat and that representation. But what I'm getting at is that there's a lot of people that watch this, and some of them maybe are in parts of the organization that don't always get all of the shine or all of the media, we'll say, or the attention, but they're vital components and vital pieces. And what you've done with your career is you've really leveraged your career, or at least for what I know of it, you've leveraged your career in terms of really becoming a thought leader in that space of procurement, not just at EY and being an advocate there, but as an industry and really getting a seat at the table overall and becoming and kind of transitioning, in my opinion, what I've noticed is it's transitioning from, and I don't know at what point in your career this happened, but transitioning maybe from looking inward at your part of the career and or yourself. And then at some point, like, it changed and you thought about like, how do I become an advocate? How do I become a thought leader to help, others that are also in procurement, whether it's in EY or, just industry wide in business. So I know that's a long setup, but where I'm going with this, Larry, is, what would you tell people that are out there that maybe they may be in parts of the organization or an organization and they're thinking about, how to become either, I hate to even use the word thought leader, but they're looking at how to leverage, their knowledge, what they're doing, and to give back. So that's the main thing that you're looking to do, and that I see you're doing in your work, is you're leveraging what you've done and you're looking to give back, not just at your company, but to others that are in your role. So what kind of things would you tell to others that are maybe in those similar positions?
Yeah, Adam, I think you hit the nail on the head. It really has become a passion for me over the last number of years to try to be a spokesperson for the procurement and supply chain industry. I think the key to me is there are so many connections that procurement or supply chain make across so many of the functions. And with that comes a knowledge of the business and access to data that many don't have holistically across the organization. So using that data, becoming, and we can say predictive, right? But becoming more predictive with what some of that data talks about, maybe a little bit historical in what the data tells you and things like that. And we've really been known now for people who have a command of the data and can help answer questions that maybe even some of the functions can't answer about themselves. So the more you can get access to the different functions and work with them, understand those businesses, collect that data, use that data to your advantage, and then be the people, the organization that people call, you'll be able to advance that brand.
Yeah, it's great. It's great advice. And can't wait to dig deeper into your writing as well on our follow-up interview. I'm going to have a lot of fun like we always do.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Adam.
Jason, turning the question on you. So what inspired your writing in this most recent release? And let me hold it up again, just in case people didn't remember seeing it.
Well, as I mentioned, we're a legacy business. We're a third generation business. I'm the third generation of the business, and family businesses have additional challenges because you have all the components of a business that you have to deal with. But you also have the family dynamic, which brings a lot of assets, but also liabilities to the business. And I've been a student of family business for years, and have worked very hard to learn about the family dynamics, to leverage the strengths of the family dynamics, to prevent the pitfalls of what can happen if there's tension within the family. And unfortunately, over the last handful of years, the third generation, there was some tension, and there were some disagreements and dynamics with the members of the third generation that came to a head, and as things typically, when they end, they don't end well.
Mhm.
So during that transition into how the business looks now, there was fallout, both with the business side and with the family side. And when this writing opportunity presented itself, I wanted to both share what my journey was to date and what I've learned from that, but I also didn't know how to articulate it, and process it for myself, because there was a lot that I was having to deal with, being, part of this family business transition that was done under less than ideal circumstances. So I just needed to figure it out for myself, and as Jeremy said, it was essentially therapy. It was my therapeutic process of dealing with what I went through with the business, with my team in the business, and with the family that surrounds the business. And I found a thread that kind of ties it all together, and not only how to articulate what I went through, but really how I can use it as a framework to be a better steward going forward. And that's really what I learned from it, and hoping that as a takeaway is just how people can really appreciate stewardship, which is essentially what a family business is. And we're all involved in stewardship in different ways, and how they can apply that, in their own lives, their own businesses, going forward. But ultimately, it was a unexpected therapeutic event for me.
Hey, Mission Matters. We provide therapy. Forget what you heard. I'm in. The word stewardship, though, I mean, you hit the nail on the head on this one. So when I think about what it takes to, steward a business over multiple generations, and when I think of stewardship in the case of what I know of your business and what we've talked about, it really being client centric and client focused. And another important word that you mentioned is legacy. And what that means, and what somebody's legacy is going to be, not just in business, but, personally, like, what do you want to leave to this world? So I guess the question that I pose to you is, when we think about stewardship and legacy, and when we think about what it looks like to maintain a business, even over generations, right? Like, you have some clients, if I recall correctly, that have been with you, for multiple roofs, and for many years. What does the idea of stewardship and legacy mean to you, and keeping that focus on the client? Like, what does that mean to you?
It's, for me, it's really what are the core values of the business, and of course that's derived from, the core values of the family that started the business, the team that we surround ourselves with, the customers that we like to work with. So what are those core values that we want to honor and protect and continue to exaggerate? And for stewardship, for me, is what's my role in honoring that, because it's not all about me. It wasn't all about my father before that, or even my grandfather. The organization and what it represents, the president of the organization, and what I've learned is that it's not about me. It's about what are these values of this institution, and what is my role in protecting and honoring that institution and what it's supposed to serve. And that also means, again, this is like, looking down the road. At some point, when am I not the person that can best honor those values, and when do I need to make sure that others are fulfilling that? So that's just one example of what stewardship is, just knowing my place in it. It's when do I take the baton from someone else? When do I pass the baton to another? So that ultimately the values live on, because they're all going to, ideally this business will outlive me. And those values and what we can do for the community and for our customers should continue to outlive me. So what's my role in that? And that's a lot of what I talk about in my book is stewardship is really knowing our place, and how to best make the opportunity when it's our time, but also recognition that our time is not, indefinite. So
Awesome.
I could start going a lot of different directions, and I know that's what the purpose of the book
No,
was.
it's great because this is all teaser material for everybody watching. We're gonna do a follow-up interview, so stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. There goes my plug there, right? So Jeff, you're next. So as an author of not just the director of publishing here, I mean as an author as well, what inspired your writing?
Well, I think a lot of you guys have touched on it already. But there's certainly, for me, there was a legacy piece. So my father and I have been involved in a very important biotech company for many years, trying to make some paradigm shifts in the oncology space. So it was an ability to share a story with my dad. I think a lot of times we're as operators, we're focused on the end game, and we forget like the journey, all of the benchmarks of success that come in the process. And especially when you're trying to attack cancer from a new approach with a different drug, I think it's the Hail Mary of all Hail Marys. So I felt like it was a good time to kind of take a breath and, represent what we had accomplished. It was a good opportunity to work with him. And then I think ultimately, having talked to lots of authors, there's a marketing experience in all of this. So by having to put your story, having to put your business into words, it forces you to put some attention on your communication strategy. It forces you, there's something important about the permanence of a book. You put a little extra thought into it. And I think that's beneficial for all of our branding and for all of our businesses. So I'll tell you this, it was really beneficial to experience the process from the other side so that I can communicate the opportunity to our authors in a better format. So
it's awesome. Awesome. So this next question, I'm going to throw this out to the floor, and whoever wants to tackle it, I mean, just dive right in. But so I'll tee it up with a little story. So when I was a financial advisor, so before I got into media, I've been doing this now for quite some time, full time. But before that, I was a financial advisor, and I used to love reading books. But number one, I could never picture being in a book myself. Number two, I didn't really understand it, like that whole concept, that whole idea. And for some of you that are on this line, don't laugh at me, but I mean, like last generation, that's how I'm thinking. This idea and this concept of we're all brands, or we all have our own brands, or things like that. It didn't make sense to me when I was an advisor. I thought, like the idea of being our own brands or marketing or anything like that. I'm like, okay, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not a celebrity. Like, why do I need a book? Why do I want to tell my story? Why do I want to write? So it wasn't really until I started getting into podcasting, into the publishing world and other things that I really started to understand like that we are all brands, that we all are. And it's always been that way, but maybe the way that we define it's changed a little. And so I'll give you an example, a quick one. So, during that time when I was a financial advisor, maybe I would go to my local Chamber of Commerce. So the Century City Chamber of Commerce. So that was my brand. When I walked in there, like that was the brand I carried. That was, what I wrote on my LinkedIn, board member at, Century City Chamber of Commerce, all these things that I didn't really understand were part of who that brand was, or the brand that I was portraying and that I was showing the world. So when I added this component of the book, and when I added this component of telling my story, like some things changed for my brand. The first thing that happened was, obviously it got bigger, and it wasn't like this thing though that I thought it would be. I thought it would be like, I'm just sharing my story, and I don't want people to say it's this like, oh, look at me type thing. It was more like, I just wanted to share my story. I was writing about finance and the things that I knew, and I wanted to help. And that was what I did it for. And based off of that, I feel like enough of an audience, enough people read that story and it resonated with them, and they connected, and the rest is history. I mean, that's what kind of took me down this path. But I'd be interested to have the group or for others to weigh in. Like, what's your concept of this? We're all brands. Like, what's your stance on that? Whoever wants to jump in first.
Yeah, this is Derek. I'll take that one because we're all about brand over here. But again, this is Derek at Explainify, video production company. Yeah, I was gonna say, your personal brand matters more today than ever. There's so many cameras, there's so many screens, all about content creation, right? But I gotta say, from all my mentors who helped me even get here, thank you to all of them. But you could replace jobs, but you can't replace people. And that's the thing, is your brand matters more today, again, than ever. But people really embrace and buy into that brand. If they know you're a hustler and you're gonna go get it, like, they're gonna trust you with the next big decision. They're gonna trust you when you go to your next job and call you back and say, hey, that's my guy. So like, that is like so important today, is to build that trust. And with all the attention to social media or screen time or whatever it is, right? That's only going to get amplified as we move forward, and new technology advancements bring short form video content to life even faster. So again, we're all our own content creators and brand makers, but there's a 50% science to doing the job right, and then there's the other 50%, the feng shui, the art form of how you do it. That's your brand, and that's what I want people to focus on. And that's what I'm getting from what you're saying. Is it gets me pumped up? Is that that second half of it is something that people traditionally have not always looked at. Now it's like becoming more of the, okay, great, you could do the job, but how are you going to do it? That part matters. That's the thing that's uncovering today, and I love it.
It's awesome. Anyone else want to weigh in on that one?
Yeah, Adam, if I can jump in, Larry Fallon again, EY. We have a saying in the supply chain services practice where we say, no brand, no future. And
wait a minute, Larry, that's harsh, but I got to remember that one. No brand, no future.
No brand, no future.
Wow.
And really what that means is two things. Number one, we are striving to make sure that people in the supply chain services team have their own brand, have their own personal brand, have their own accomplishments. Not everybody has to write a book. Not everybody has to make a speech, things like that, but they have to have a brand, because when you advance the supply chain services within EY, as I described earlier, the stakeholders, the business partners, have to see that you're bringing something different to the table. Once again, it's elevating this whole supply chain function. It's getting that board seat, but it starts with the people having their brand to convince the stakeholders, the sponsors, the business partners that you have something unique. So individually, their brand, and then that builds the brand of the supply chain services practice. So no brand, no future of the supply chain services practice, no seat at the board, no visibility at the board. So we've been living to that, Adam. So I think your story resonates big time.
Man, that's awesome. No brand, no future. Jeff, can we take that one down? That might be part of our our pitch going forward. That hurts, but it's true. It's true. And then I guess something that's been on my mind a lot is that also no brand or not doing things, whether it's, again, doesn't have to be publishing books, but for many it makes sense. But whatever it is that you're doing, not having a brand even, right? That's a brand. That's a brand. That's something in itself. So not participating in those things may send incorrect messages that aren't always true as well. Anyone else want to tackle that one? This is good.
I'll chime in here real quick and just say I love the concept, because it really forces us to live with intentionality. And if we don't see ourselves as having our brand, now I honestly never thought about it in terms of a brand. Like I said before, I look at life as a story. How do you want your story to be written? If you could write your own story, which we are all writing our stories every day in the way we live our lives. So I definitely like that concept of branding ourselves. And that's something that nobody can take away from you. You can be removed from a position, something can happen to the economy, but when you have a life story, a brand, a mission, of course, which is what you're all about and what Mission Matters is all about. And I love that, because it really forces you to ask the right questions and get the answers. And I know a year or two ago, while I always thought I had a mission, but kind of got a little bit lax about it, whether it's due to life situation or whatnot, it kind of forced me to start asking those questions. And if someone's out there right now, they don't know the answer to it, this is a great opportunity to figure out what your brand is. And nobody can take that brand from you, especially if it's with authenticity and character, which is the most important part. So that's my plug.
No, it's great. And that I was just like you said, I thought of it as stories or other things. This idea of branding, I mean, and to think of what I do now, it's funny for me to think back to my advisor days, because I'm like, I had no concept of it, but it just makes a difference. Like it makes it all the difference in my opinion. All right. So I'll leave it open for a second. Anybody else or move on?
Yeah. This is Jason. I'll, ultimately echo a few things that the others said. It's interesting that, being responsible for an 83-year-old brand, I think about that word all the time because that's what we're supposed to do, is protect the brand, protect the name, protect the legacy. And for a long time, I'm a fairly private person, so I didn't jump right on board with the socials and the personal branding. That's just not how I'm wired. But it is important these days to actually, start to peel back the layer of a company brand and realize that it's really just made up of people. And so what really are those core values and essential elements of the people, particularly as the leader of the business for now, that's as important to put out there. Am I actually the person who is living the brand, the values, of the brand? And it's something that doesn't get its attention as it should. Of course, certainly is now, because it's much more of a movement, but it's something that I've been wrestling with and trying to get more on board with, to make sure that, I feel that I am that authentic person, but I don't make the efforts that I should to convey that out to the public at large, which is seemingly more what's required and asked of the public, to have that kind of level of transparency, at beyond just the actual institution itself. So it's good that there's mechanisms like this to help us do that.
It's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So,
I was just gonna jump in and kind of echo the thoughts. I think Jason touched on something that you and I've talked about, which is the fact that it's a generational thing to some degree. So, my generation, the internet didn't really pop off until after college. So, the idea of self-promotion and personal branding, I think for a lot of people who have some amazing careers, is a little bit of a foreign concept. We used to focus on building our brands, on building our companies, on managing our people, and we didn't pat ourselves on the back. We saw that was almost frowned upon. And I think the world has changed. It's obviously different for my kids. It's their go-to. And what we've realized is that we have to get more creative. And that's where this book fills the pocket so brilliantly, because it checks those boxes. It allows you to do the self-promotion, I think, in a way that's still humble. And it also allows you to check the self-promotion boxes without having to spend a lot of time being a social media expert, because we still have primary jobs, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So full disclaimer for everybody watching, everyone here has jobs and businesses, so we all work. We don't sit on this all day. And the word that you said here, and something that we talk about all the time as well, Jeff, is really this idea of community. So just like the concept or the idea of brand, I feel, has changed, the idea of community has as well. So, I won't go too far back, but if I don't get at least one, Henry Ford reference in here, I'm from Michigan, so Detroit, so got to get at least one reference, right? So we look before the Model T and the idea of community before people started driving or anything like that. It might have been, your very immediate neighborhood. And as people started moving away, from home, other things like that, going to college, and as just the dynamics of our cities changed and where we work, this concept of communities changed as well. And then now we go a little bit further, and way further, right? We're not going to do a whole history lesson here, but we go way further and look at what's happened. For context, for everybody that's watching this or listening to this in the future, we're recording this in April of 2022. So lots of change over the last couple of years through the pandemic and otherwise, right? A lot more people are connected, not just locally through technology, things like Zoom or whatever platform somebody's using, but also just worldwide. So this idea of community, and Jeff and I talk about this at length often, and how we bring together our author community and how we get people to interact and get to know each other and have that feel of a community, where it would not have always happened, like the crossover, the change from somebody, whether it's state, whether it's demographic, whether it's age, whether it's socioeconomic status, like accomplishment in business, like whatever all these different things are that sometimes I won't say separate people, but let's just say they just don't cause people to come together for whatever reason. So the idea of these books, and one of our missions, is really to bring together this community and these community authors. And looking back, so I did a post on Instagram actually today, or it might have been yesterday, and it's because it came up on the old Facebook feed, and it was from our very first book. And when I look at that, I'm like, wow, like our author group, when that first book came out, we didn't have a website. We didn't have, I think we barely had a deck that just kind of pitched the idea of what we wanted to do in building a community, to bring together leaders to share their stories and to get them out there so that others could benefit from it. Like, to even just that concept. So now, we fast forward, I don't know, 5 years later, we published, we have over, 200 people in our community, and we're continuing to build that community and to find new ways for everybody to be able to interact and to be able to give back to the community. And this isn't as an organization or just as a company. This is really just trying to create opportunities for others to connect with each other, because all of us as humans, we want some form of connection. So in weighing in on that word community, I guess what I'm looking for here is, like, what is community meant to you in your life, and what do you think that means kind of going forward? Whoever wants to jump in on that one. I know that's a big one.
I want it. This is Derek at Explainify, because I got a Ford reference for you.
Oh, come on.
Let me visualize it like this.
That's way to my heart. I love it. Go ahead. Cars.
I'm just looking out for you, man, having too much fun here. I got to say, there's a story about how back when the Model T was being produced, there was a byproduct of coal, and instead of just throwing it away, they found a way to monetize it, and it turned into Kingford's charcoal. So when you're making the, innovative next thing in your world, and you're grinding towards that, right? There was a community around that was like, hey, maybe we can find a way to monetize that and create a supplementary form of income. And like that drove a lot of the additional revenue that they needed to continue to expand and make Ford what it is today. And so even from that perspective, you're working on something right now in the audience, whether you know it or not. You're producing your own byproduct on the side. What is that value? I was in software and technology for a little over 10 years, and talking about very dry, heavy, complicated things. Okay, I mean, it gets pretty dense at that level. But what I found myself doing naturally was creating explainer videos. And then all of a sudden, here comes this byproduct, and now I'm running an explainer video company. Is that what I ever thought? No, it really not. And that only came through the benefits that I got from the community embracing me, and my growth and development pushed me harder, opened up new concepts for me that I didn't think about, enhanced my digital marketing experience, how to put a goal up on the board, go for it, measure the results, and then get better from there. Like, all of that has led to this process, and why I'm even here today is I never thought I would be running essentially like a creative agency. But again, it all stemmed from being in software, where typically videos weren't really being embraced all the time in the first place. So I by default took my own charcoal from making what I thought was going to be the one thing, and then found another path for myself. And that's even written in my own story too. So I want to share that with the audience is I'm only here because of the community that embraced me. And then I forged lots of lifelong friendships through business along the way, because I always wanted to learn. I was genuinely curious. I wanted to learn, and I was willing to apply leadership where I could. And so now I got a shot to go do something real big. And it's only because of friends, family, and all my business folks along the way, the mentors that got me here. Thank you so much. It was all community, not just me and my own solo effort. There's none of that. I don't think you're going to find that here. I think everyone's going to have someone in their community that helped them get to this step today.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, and thank you for the Kingsford knowledge. Did not know that. That's a good one. I like that one. And everything that we like, when I think about community here, like the ideas that we come up with, this is all based on feedback from the community, like the podcast agency, the Facebook agency, like all the things we've done, not just product wise, but even this idea of getting the authors together to do a group launch like this all comes from the community. So we're always trying to give back there. And so I love it. Like, communities where Mission Matters stands and falls, really. So we're able to move forward based on the strength of our community. So thank you for sharing that. And anyone else on community who wants to tackle that one?
Yeah, I'll jump in. This is Jason. And, for me, community represents where you're really investing your time and energy. Before I came back, I grew up in St. Louis, but I left for about 12 years. And before I came back, I was moving every couple of years. So I never, I had relationships that developed, but I never was really entrenched and invested in any of the given communities, whether it be the geographic communities or the people in those communities, because I was relocating so much by choice. Once I came back to St. Louis and got involved in the family business and really involved in the St. Louis community at a much higher level, because I was operating, in a business capacity, I really understood what it meant to truly invest, and not just invest money, but invest time and resources and commitment and caring and sacrifice. And that to me is what community is. And that can then be, again, whether it's geographic based or whether it's a community that's being developed through Mission Matters. It's where you actually put in your money. But again, money can be resources, time, energy, sacrifice, discipline, effort, whatever it is. Where are you actually investing those components, and what people are you investing in? That becomes your community, because now you're taking care of them, and you're not just part of that community by name only. You're really invested in trying to see the best for those in that community and whatever the mission is to be served. And that's a lot what defines my philanthropic efforts, is really, where am I really investing myself? That's my community. And so it's one thing just to say, yeah, I support this, or I stand by this, but it's another thing to really invest yourself in that, and then it truly becomes your community.
It's awesome. All right, so we got time for one more. Anyone else want to weigh in? And for the audience, by the way, we're cutting this short for a reason. We're going to do individual interviews with each one of these authors. So if you're like me, you're excited and you want to hear more and you want to learn more about each and every one of these authors. And don't worry, we will. But this is our hook for you. We want to get you hooked, not just on the authors, but go grab us a book. Go grab a book. We do sell books as well. It's okay. We'll have the links in the show notes and all that, so you can also read the author's writings. But anybody else want to chime in? Room for one more.
Yeah, Adam, Larry Fallon again. Just quickly, community and values. We used the word values earlier, and they just go hand in glove. I referenced before being with EY for 23 years, and Derek talked about the community and how he got to his point. The community within EY, the values that we all share internally, building a better working world, and so forth. It just, leaves you with this feeling of you're going to push, you're going to drive, you're going to try to accomplish, and you have the support to do that. And that's the community that makes me proud at EY, and obviously the opportunity to do things like this, because it's important to EY that people have opportunities to grow. So that to me is the community that I'm really proud of.
It's awesome. And as a sign off, let's do this. I know there's individuals that watch this that want to learn more and want to hear more from the authors. So let's go around the virtual room and leave some contact info. So Derek, maybe start with you.
All right. Well, again, hey, thanks for having me here. It's been super fun. But again, Derek Gerber, SVP at Explainify. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes of your ear for today. But if you want to learn more about creating video strategies that work, just head to our website, explainify.com. Follow along on social media for everyday tips. It makes it super easy. Get on the newsletter. We'll send you the blueprint to success. Just follow along and you'll get that for free. But thanks so much for having me on the show today. It really means a lot.
Awesome. And Jeremy, please, how can people connect?
Thanks, Adam, and fellow authors. It was great to be on the show today. And again, Jeremy with Minnesota Delivery Solutions. You can check out our website at MN, as an abbreviation for Minnesota, mndeliverysolutions.com, or you can throw me an email at Jeremy at that same URL. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. And Larry?
Larry Fallon at ey.com. or look up ey.com and look me up there, or LinkedIn.
Fantastic. And Jason?
And a good way to connect with me, email is great at jshupp, SHUPP, at fergusonroofing.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn in an effort to continue to focus on my personal brand. I'm making a concerted effort to be much more active on that. But those are the two best ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And we're helping with that, Jason. We got plenty more content coming from you for you to post. So excited to continue on that journey with you as well. And Jeff, please.
Well, thank you guys all for being here today. This has been an amazing experience. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also email me directly at jeff@missionmatters.com. If you're interested in being an author, send me an email. Let's talk. Favorite part of my job is the author communication process. I get to learn on a daily basis, and I learned more today. So thank you guys.
It's awesome. And to the audience, we'll put all that information in the show notes so you can just click on it and head right on over and connect with the authors. And if this is your first time with Mission Matters or listening to one of our episodes, just to let you know, we're a platform that's all about bringing on business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and having them share why they do what they do, what's their mission, like how are they giving back, and what are they doing to go out into the world and make a difference. If that is the type of content that excites you or motivates you or gets you fired up, we definitely invite you to hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And to all the authors, one last round of applause. Come on. Congrats again. Volume 6. Woohoo. Come on. All right. And to the audience, again, have a great day.